here from Stretford Paddock. We want to say HQ. I mean, it's a studio, but in them. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Sergio Aguero. He's been linked with Manchester United. He's also been linked with other clubs. We'll be going through the news there. We'll be looking at the international break. Man United players have been scoring. Man United players have been getting injured. Man United players have been sent home. And we're also going to be looking at Erling Haaland and potential for him to be going to Manchester City. Obviously, a long-time fan favourite and a long-time favourite of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, and someone who United have been linked with extensively. There's big rumours that he may be going to Manchester City, so he'll be getting into them, seeing what's true, seeing what isn't, finding out whether United do have a chance of getting Haaland. And here's the annoying thing. It's not only if Haaland goes to City, do we not get him? United don't get their biggest transfer target of the summer. It also means United's biggest rivals or second biggest rivals get one of the best strikers in the world. So pretty big story there, and we'll be getting into that fully. Let me know in the comments as well what you're thinking at home. Whether you would have Sergio Aguero at Manchester United, whether you'd take him, whether you think it'd be a nice 2 fingers up to City, or whether you think, if anything, he's past it, he's a little bit washed up, he's not the player he used to be, and more often than not, or more likely than not, he'd come to United, he wouldn't get the job done, and he'd basically been doing another season of City's work, but by harming United rather than by helping Manchester City. Let's get into this story anyway, because this we talked a little bit about this yesterday on Transfers Live. If you want to see that, make sure you check that out. Me and Jay went through a load of different stories yesterday, and you can check that out on the channel, of course. Let's get into it. Manchester United have been linked with Sergio Aguero. Obviously, before we get into any of it, what can you say about Sergio Aguero? Manchester City legend, maybe their best ever player. Like, this isn't, someone who, he played for City for a bit. This isn't, I don't even know. Who could you say that's been there for a little bit? That it's not like we're signing Danilo, is it? Or, Claudio Bravo or something. This is one of their greatest ever players, maybe their greatest ever player. This is coming from Foot Mercato in Spain, and they're saying that United have already given a concrete offer to City, or a concrete offer, to Aguero for his services, alongside other clubs like PSG, Chelsea, and Inter Milan. It's interesting. Apparently, according to Marca, Aguero's first choice destination is Barcelona, but the Spanish hierarchy are keen on the deal, as it will be a free transfer, obviously, because he's without a contract this summer. Like I said, the question I want to know is, do you want Sergio Aguero? Would you have him at Manchester United? For me, in terms of the reliability of this story, I think there's a chance United would be linked with him. I think there's a chance United would go after him. I think it's probably unlikely. But here's the thing. Man United signed Ighalo 18 months ago. Man United signed Cavani on a free, less than 12 months ago. United aren't at the point where we go, no, we're not going to take a 32-year-old Sergio Aguero, because we took a 30-year-old Odion Ighalo, who, let's be honest, has never been like Sergio Aguero, has never been of the quality that Sergio Aguero is. So if we could get someone of his quality for what would be a free transfer, that ticks a lot of the boxes that Manchester United like to tick. And you think the rumours that United may only have 80 million to spend this summer, may have less than that to spend. Someone like Aguero, who admittedly would be on huge wages, would still be a free transfer, would spare any sort of transfer fee. For me, the chances of this happening are slim. And I think that's, I think we can all read and see that that's the case. But I wouldn't say that he isn't on a list somewhere. And on the same list might be Danny Ings, and might be, probably a handful of other strikers that may be available in the summer. The rumours have been circulating and growing that Edinson Cavani wants to leave Manchester United. And there's reports coming out yesterday and this morning again, and will involve them in this story, that United are currently in talks with Cavani. United have opened talks about next season. And the weird thing with that is, for me, the fact that we have to have talks with him suggests to me he wants to leave. Because currently, he's at Manchester United on a 1-year deal plus an optional second year. And that option isn't for him to decide. That option is for Manchester United to decide. So the fact that, if he was really happy at United, he was desperate to stay, it would literally take, we're going to extend your deal next summer, is that okay with you? Yeah, cool, yeah, I'd love to stay. I'm really enjoying myself here. Extend away. The fact that this takes big talks, big contract, negotiations between parties and agents and the board and all this sort of thing, suggests to me he's going, I want to leave. And we're going, well, we don't want to force you to stay by extending your deal because we don't want a striker here that's not happy, but we want to extend it. Let's see if we can change your mind. So to me, the fact that they're talking and having to have contract negotiations with Edinson Cavani, a man who, let's not forget, already has a contract and already has an option to stay for a further year, that suggests to me he wants to go and we're trying to convince him to stay. So, if we can't convince him to stay, or if we feel like he'd just be playing here under duress, someone like Aguero wouldn't be outside of the realms of possibility for me. Now, I don't think it will happen. I don't think he's United's number one target. I think, Haaland is probably much more toward the top of that list. Maybe even someone like Lautaro Martinez would be higher up. But it's not impossible. And look where we've been. I told you before, we said this, and we've all seen it last January, January 2020, when at 11 o'clock in the morning we were doing a video saying that Josh King might be joining Manchester United because United wanted to sign Josh King. So if we're at a point where Josh King seems viable and Ighalo seems viable, then getting to a point where Aguero seems viable is not beyond the realms of possibility, if you ask me. Daniel Riley says, imagine if he scores a last-minute winner to win us the league next season. Scenes. Yeah. But it'd be forever twinned with the one against QPR, wouldn't it? And we'd have to watch them both back-to-back. To me, it's not worth winning a league if we have to watch that highlight anymore. Obviously, I'm joking. I'd take him if he was going to do that. People saying, replace Cavani with Aguero. Well, Alex, that's exactly the suggestion, isn't it? And there have been other reports. Jonathan Schrager, someone who is mostly known, I'll be honest, I would say almost entirely known for leaking Manchester United's team sheets early, which, fair enough, that's something to be known for. And it's obviously he's got an inside source at Manchester United because he's leaking the team sheet about an hour before anyone else is. Consistently, he's saying that this is unlikely to happen. This Aguero deal is unlikely to happen, which obviously I think anyone who's reading this and anyone who's watching this, we know it probably is unlikely. But again, Foot Mercato in Spain are saying that United have made contact. United have offered a deal for Sergio Aguero. So it's interesting. Pravesh Bisio says we badly need a real number 10. And the right one is Robert Lewandowski. I assume when you say number 10, you mean more of a traditional number 10, because these days number 10 means someone behind the striker. But, in olden times, your striker wore the number 10, didn't they, quite often? Like Dennis Law, for instance. We're not going to get Robert Lewandowski from Bayern Munich. I see almost no possibility of that happening. Someone says, what kind of club have we become? Well, like I said, the sort of club that signs Cavani on a 1-year deal, Ighalo on a 6-month deal, and then extends it, fancies getting Josh King in at the last minute as well. That's the sort of club we are at the minute. It's stopgap FC at the moment, certainly in that striker position. We don't seem to be able to find the man that's going to be there for 4, 5, 6 years, and we're just sort of filling the gaps accordingly. When's the last time Manchester United had a striker that stayed at the club for 5 years? Because Van Persie didn't, Lukaku didn't, Cavani isn't going to, Zlatan didn't. When was the last one? Wayne Rooney? Signed in 2004, 2005? When's the last time Manchester United had a striker that we bought that stayed at the club for 5 years? I can't even think of it. So, that for me, that's not good. The fact that we spent a lot of money on Lukaku and we had to sell him because it didn't work. We got in Zlatan on a free, but we knew it was going to be short term. Same with Ighalo. Same with Cavani. United need a long-term plan up front. But at the minute, how can we have any confidence that that's going to happen when we've seen the track record of Manchester United in recent seasons? Right, let's move on to our next story then. And let's have a little look at some of the internationals that have been going on in the last couple of days, specifically last night. Some big performances from Manchester United players. We'll start with Dan James because he scored the winner yesterday for Wales against Serbia in what was kind of looking like a must-win game for Wales because they played their first couple of games, had lost both of them, and are getting to the point in the group where you lose your first 3 games, you might be too far adrift of everyone by the time your form picks up. So they're going into that game. And I think in the 84th minute it was, Gareth Bale whips a crossing to Dan James, who wins the header. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. If you haven't, make sure you check it out. It's available on Twitter, on Reddit. The goal, I can describe it to you. Gareth Bale, left-hand side, puts the ball in. Dan James beats his man in the air. Yeah, you heard it right. Heads the ball down into the ground and up into the roof of the net. Imagine being beaten in the air by Dan James. I know people used to have a go at Rio Ferdinand for getting beaten by Messi. But Dan James is a human mouse. At least Lionel Messi's used to scoring 40, 50 goals a season. Dan James doesn't do that. Dan James is 5'6", has never won a header in his life, and is all of a sudden winning headers to keep Wales's hopes of playing in the World Cup alive. Pretty exceptional stuff. Donny van der Beek also got a goal for Holland yesterday. It was the 6th goal in, I believe, a 6-0 win. And you know, good for him, of course. Good for him to be getting goals. Good for him to be getting games as much as anything, because he had been injured. He came back, and for me, against Leicester, he looked off the pace. He looked unfit. He looked, you know, basically anonymous in that game. The best thing he did was the dummy for the goal, but other than that, he had a very quiet game. So it's good for him to be getting games, getting time. For anyone who didn't see the game, of course, it was basically a 5-yard tap in. Decent finish, but you know, nothing to write home about for anyone who didn't see it. Again, and it was the 6th goal in the game. And another player, a couple players actually, Victor Lindelof. Again, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, but some of you may have not have. Left the Swedish training camp due to personal reasons, was the official quote. But apparently there is a relationship and an understanding between United and the Swedish team and the Swedish camp that, due to a back injury that Lindelof has been having and has had for a while, he wasn't going to play all the games, or if he felt it, he would come back. So that seems to be a precautionary thing due to a sort of long-standing back injury that we kind of know he's had. There's been reports that he might need surgery in the summer. So Victor Lindelof has left the camp. But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing to worry about in terms of long-term worries there. There's also Anthony Martial, who seemed to pick up some sort of knee injury. Now, Didier Deschamps, the French manager, has given an update on that in terms of the severity of the injury, which is good news for United. He says Anthony has a small issue on his knee. Nothing is decided yet as to whether he can play Bosnia, which I think the game is tonight, by the way. So if the suggestion that he could possibly play tonight, this injury isn't particularly serious. Even if the game's tomorrow night, I'm not particularly certain. This isn't a particularly serious injury, which is obviously good news for Manchester United. He won't be taking part in the training session a bit later. We'll see tomorrow, brackets Wednesday. So this quote was from last night. But there's still the pain, and having travelled as long as we have, that hasn't helped. So Anthony Martial does have some sort of knee injury, but clearly not one that is massively severe, and you know, one that he may well be back to play tonight for. And finally, then, before we go, United long-term target, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's long-term target, Erling Haaland, is basically being told that he may well be joining City, or we're being told that he may well be joining Manchester City. And this is coming from the MEN, but this is echoing a lot of news around the country at the moment. Apparently, he has been identified as the number one target of Manchester City this summer, and they're very confident of signing him. And according to this report in the MEN, they believe that City are the number one sort of chance of signing Erling Haaland this summer, which is obviously a massive blow for United, not just because United want him, United need someone like Erling Haaland. Also, it makes better one of our biggest rivals and title challengers, Manchester City, someone who have been basically playing without a striker this season. I think Aguero has played 5 games for them in the league this season. So, you know, it's going to be very difficult to hurt them if they bring in someone like Erling Haaland. Apparently, events this season have accelerated and intensified the need to get Erling Haaland, with Aguero struggling for fitness and then form. Letting Aguero leave raises the pressure on City to sign Haaland, someone or somebody else who is capable of filling in. But yeah, it's not just the MEN that's reporting this. It seems as though Erling Haaland is. I mean, are we surprised, really, that Erling Haaland is a target for Manchester City, a club with endless money, who his dad used to play for, who need a new striker? He's the best striker in the world other than Robert Lewandowski. He's 21 years old, or 20 years old, I think he may even be, and he's got a transfer buyout clause that activates next season, so we know that there's pretty much a limit to what he will sell for this season. It's no surprise he's been linked with Manchester City. It's no surprise they're one of the favourites. They're one of the best teams in the country, as much as it pains me to say it, one of the best teams in Europe. If they want Erling Haaland, it's going to be very difficult to prize him off them, and obviously that would affect Manchester United massively along the way. Of course, we'll be giving you constant updates on this story, as well as all the others breaking in there. And of course, as well, coming up, we have got all the news and preview relating to Manchester United versus Brighton, because football, actual proper football, is back this weekend. Hopefully Martial will be fit for that. Hopefully the likes of Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes will be ready to go for that one as well. We'll be bringing you all the build up to that coming up this Sunday. Thank you very much for joining us for the news. We'll see you in a bit.